And I think that's why we get along.
Yeah.
Because we like to make the little things fun.
How did we meet? Tell the people how we
Yes,
how did we meet? How do we know each other?
I would love to. So we both are. It's still ongoing, but
Yeah.
the New York Queer Comedy Festival.
Yes.
When was that? Back in
May.
Yeah, we were on the first round together, and I remember you walking in with your like sequined rainbow jacket, and I was like, I want to be his friend. I want to be his friend.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because you were the only musical comic on the lineup.
Yeah.
And the rest of us were just doing like, you know, straight
But
stand-up.
you had everybody
fine.
was talking about your Jennifer Coolidge.
Yes, I do a Jennifer Coolidge impression.
Which I at that show we were all in like the green room.
Yes.
And so we weren't seeing each other perform.
Yes.
That's an issue.
It's a big issue because we were like, oh, I'm sure you did great.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've all got imposter syndrome. So
Yeah.
we go out there and we're like, oh, we sucked.
Yeah.
And we're like, I don't know how we did.
Yeah.
And we come back and that was kind of a bummer that we didn't get to actually see each other's set.
But I will say some people I think did skip the green room and go sit
I was
in
too
the
scared.
regular room. But I think those people missed out on lifelong friendships.
Exactly. It was like bond or see performances.
Yeah.
And you're like, bond now, and then you'll see their performances
Yeah,
later.
because we'll go to each other's shows
Exactly.
and everything. Yeah, totally. And so you do comedy. How long have you been doing comedy? Has it been like a lifelong thing, or is it something that you picked up later in life
actually
at 24?
a very interesting story.
Okay.
So pure comedy, I started with improv.
Okay.
I'm on an improv team, Plonko, at Plonko
Plug it.
Improv.
Yeah.
And so I started doing improv with UCB January of 2021. So started online, but we'll rewind there.
Yeah.
So I'm from Michigan, like a small town in Michigan, White Lake, Michigan. But I was a theater kid growing up. So I started doing community theater in like 4th grade. Always loved to make people laugh. Like I was doing little bits and characters for my parents.
I saw your mom posted something recently and you like reshared it.
She's got her Facebook is a gold mine.
My
of,
mom's
like,
Facebook
good material.
is
So I actually went and I screen recorded one of her old posts and reposted it. But I was always doing things to make people laugh.
Yeah.
And I always dreamed of being an actress, probably comedic roles for like a brief period of time. I had an agent when I was in like 5th grade. Nothing really happened with it.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
It was expensive.
In Michigan?
And, and that was when they were like kind of, Detroit's going to be the next film center. And it was difficult to kind of just keep the momentum going. But in high school, I did most of the plays, all the musicals, was in choir, loved it. But I was also really academically driven and really good at school.
That makes one of us.
Yeah. And hey, I was good at it, but I was so stressed. I was putting so much pressure on myself. And for some reason, it's so funny, my mom and dad my brother was this way too, and they didn't really put a lot of stress on us academically. But for some reason, we were like, we have to get straight A's. We have to get a 4.0. And so I ended up going to the University of Michigan. And I graduated a semester early, December 2020.
Okay.
Studied political science there. And minored in law, justice, and social change, which is a sociology minor.
Yeah.
And I was dead set on going to law school. And I was really stressed. I was trying to study for the LSAT so this would be 2020, like peak COVID. I was planning on taking it online that summer.
Yeah.
And I was so stressed out. I wasn't happy. I was taking an acting class actually at that time, like for non-majors, at Michigan. And I kind of decided I wanted to move to New York City, and I'll take my gap year there. So I actually was a paralegal when I first moved here. Yeah. Hated it. Hated it.
That.
Hated it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'd always been like a diehard SNL fan.
Yeah.
Always watched it. And I started to just go to a lot of stand-up shows primarily. Yeah. And I was at the Cellar all the time and was like, wait, why can't I do this? I can do this. This is a very tangible thing to do here.
Yeah.
So started with improv, and then I started doing stand-up last summer.
So it's been over a year.
Yes. So about in improv like a year and a half ish.
Yeah.
But so now, we both still have day jobs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It's such a funny thing, like it's such a reality to have to work.
Yes. It's like,
that's the title of the episode. It's such a reality to have to work. Like, I literally think of this all the time. Yes. Like, there are people that I know of who went to like kind of like similar background to what you're talking about, where they like have a performance background. They were in choir and drama and theater and whatever. And then they went to college for that.
Yes.
And then they took their 20s to like not work, but like not have like not like be building a whole corporate career.
Totally.
And then working like their ass off on their comedy, and then by like I'm 31, like by the time they're 31, they're like I'm thinking, Kat Cohen.
Yes.
Like, I don't know exactly her background and how she made everything happen, but like she's my age. She's 31, and she has really become something.
Oh yeah.
Between 21 and 31.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think for me, something that was a challenge for me is in my 20s, I did not have the clarity or the certainty that performance was my calling.
Sure.
I was a performer.
Yeah.
I would do any talent show that would come my way.
Right.
At work, I worked at Do you know ClassPass?
Yes.
I worked at ClassPass for 5 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I worked there for 5 years, and I started doing customer service, and then I was doing HR. And I actually really loved the job that I was doing in HR. I was putting on trainings, and like, there's an element of performing in that.
Oh.
But I was also like the go-to MC for like the team meetings, trivia nights. Like, we had a big field day. We went to Montana one time.
Oh,
we went to Montana one time because we had an office there.
Okay.
And Montana, like, University is in, I don't know the name of the university, but I'm going to call it Montana University.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah, it could be that. And they had a football field that they allowed us to use for a field day where we were doing, like, games, like, on the field, a field day. And I was emceeing that, so I got to talk into the microphone on the football field. And you know how football fields are like, hello,
yes,
like that?
Of course.
It was like that. And it was like one of the coolest experiences.
That's really fun.
I would have like these experiences. And so it's been really interesting because as I've been performing and doing musical comedy and stuff, people say like, do you have a performance background?
Right.
And I'm getting to a place where I just say yes.
Yeah.
Because that is what it is. But like, I feel like for a while, it's taken me a little while to understand that like, you don't have to have done theater and been in choir and done this and that, because while all those kids were doing that, I had my own YouTube show.
Right.
In high school.
Exactly. And there's so many different avenues to comedy, to performing. And I don't think that that's talked about enough. And I find that, I struggle to even say like I was a theater kid. Yeah. Because then people will be like, where'd you go for college?
Right.
And I people will be like, oh, everybody did, high school theater. Yeah. And similarly, when I meet new comics, especially if I meet somebody who's like, a little bit more established. Yeah. I struggle to say, I'm a comedian.
Oh, that's...
I always put I'm an aspiring comedian.
I do comedy sometimes.
Yeah, and it's like, no, we gotta just own it because we are doing the thing. And there's not a certain point or threshold where it's like, you get the title, you get the official title, we're doing the thing.
Yeah.
And
there's like there's so many angles to the judgment and fear and imposter syndrome. Like, I feel like even probably for a lot of like people who are pursuing comedy, it takes a little bit to like put in your Instagram bio, I'm a comedian. Because when you're just starting, you're like, am I really going to say that? Like, are people going to think I'm taking myself seriously?
Exactly.
Like, and if they think I'm taking myself seriously, like, am I taking myself seriously? And do I have to face that myself? And I feel like that when it comes to like life in bold, standing in saying like what you are and what you want is so rewarding but so challenging.
I completely agree. I think I'm finally getting really comfortable with it. Yeah. But it is kind of funny. I've noticed, you know, I don't often look at who unfollows me on Instagram. Yeah. But sometimes.
Some people have been.
Oh, yeah. A ton of people from high school, college. Actually, this is the funny thing. Yeah. So my mom, we're very close. Yeah. And she's very active on Instagram. And sometimes will, and Facebook. Yeah. Sometimes she will literally text me and be like, I'm not going to use names, but so-and-so from high school unfollowed you. You need to unfollow them.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, Mom, why are you paying attention that much? Thanks, so I'm going to unfollow
By the way, I'm going to unfollow them.
Yeah, but it's a weird thing now where I'm kind of like, if certain people and like certain like frat bro personas that I knew in college are unfollowing me and made me feel not like outrightly bad about being myself at any point when I knew them, like, go ahead and unfollow me. Like, that kind of means I'm doing the right thing. Yes. But it is really, really unique. Cause, you know, my parents will even tell me they'll be at, like, the grocery store back home in Michigan. Yeah. And people will come up to them. Yeah. And be like, oh, we see Natalie's comedy. Like, what happened to law school?
Oh, yeah. She got a cooler she's doing something cooler now.
Yeah. That genuinely makes me happy. Yeah. Like, anyone who knew me in college, I was really good at school. Yeah. But I was so stressed. I was living with, like, so much stress that was not necessary. Yeah. And I wasn't happy. Granted, I did want to, if I had gone to law school, I wanted to do, like, sexual assault law or, like, civil rights cases primarily. Yeah. But that actually was the paralegal work that I did. And it's really hard to affect change. Yeah. There's a lot of cases that should be taken on that aren't taken on, you know, because... I could speak on that forever.
This is now this now is Legalese with Natalie.
Yes. But I was like, you know, there's different ways to affect change. Yeah. And one way is it's not like
culture.
Yeah. And like, you know, I don't really joke about anything too deep, but you know, once you get a platform,
like being on Life in Bold.
Hell yes. You know, and that I feel like is more my pathway. Like, I still have the same passions about the same social issues that, you know, I had throughout college. It's just I don't want to go to law school to make the change, if you will.
I know. Let's take a break. This episode of Life in Bold is presented by my November 3rd show at the Triad Theater. You have to come to my show. I'm doing 30 minutes of musical comedy, and it's going to be so fun. I'm actually going to be doing some songs that I've never performed before, and I'm doing that specifically to entice you to come to my show. So I hope to see you there. I think tickets are like $20. You can get them on laughwithben.com, and I hope to see you there. It's going to be a blast, and we can get drinks after, and I think my parents are coming, so you should be coming too. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. This episode is also sponsored by my Instagram at Natalie Fill _ Natalie. FILL_. Unfortunately, that is my real last name. I have made it a real mission to put more sketches out there, more characters. You can go check out my Jennifer Coolidge impression there. Lots of good stuff. And I'm going to be being more bold with what I put on there. So follow me. Come check me out. These are so good.
Liquid Death.
I remember the first time that I had Liquid Death.
Yeah.
I went to Gov Ball when I first moved here. So that was 2021.
Yeah.
And I was like so drunk and I was so thirsty.
Oh, I was like, from Liquid Death?
No, but I think I ordered 3 of them. I was like, I need 3 of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love these things.
Mm-hmm. I love a Liquid Death. I haven't had a ton of the flavors.
Okay, I actually haven't had any of the flavors.
There's like a lemon lime. There's like all kinds of flavors.
I didn't even know that.
They also have a non-sparkling one.
Oh.
Which is, I think, the white one.
Oh.
But I love Liquid Death, and if Liquid Death is watching, please sponsor us. We would love to be a Liquid Death official podcast because we love you. Thank you.
Liquid Death.
I want to know about you in high school because a lot of my comedy, I find a lot of my comedy is about my experience being a like closeted queer person in high school, and like. I was just at actually the studio yesterday recording because I'm recording an album. That's what my ad should have been about. But like,
it's okay. It'll be your next ad.
Yeah, I'm recording an album, and it's actually my plan is to have either at least part of it or all of it or like some of it or most of it done by my November 3rd show.
Okay, amazing. I can't wait.
And I'm going to have like all these songs, and one of the songs I can tell you now and announce is about my experience convincing myself and like trying to convince other people that I had like crushes on girls.
Yes.
And as a kid, like I don't know, like it was so dangerous to be gay. Like it was literally like I was worried about getting beat up, and people have like literally been killed in recent history because of their queerness. And my hometown, so I'm from California, outside of San Francisco, which like people, there's like a little bit of a misconception that like the entire Bay Area is like San Francisco, where it's like extremely like gay history, gay friendly, like whatever. I grew up like 50 minutes outside of San Francisco, and there were certainly liberal people, but also like there were people that were not like accepting of gay people, and it was like the 90s 2000s, and like I have so many experiences like just experiencing queerness as in the closet. And like I remember my brother, I have an older brother, and he's a heterosexual older brother. And he would always like be playing football with his friends and like baseball and like watching sports and playing video games and like all these things, and I would always be like putting on circuses in the backyard and like riding my rollerblades, like but in like a gay way, and like doing my pogo stick and like a hula hoop and a skip. Do you have a skip it?
No.
Do you know what that is?
No.
This is so fun because you are so young, and the skip it is an iconic cultural thing from like the 90s, early 2000s. I don't even know what that is. It is like it's a thing. It's a toy.
Okay.
It's a toy, and it's a loop on one side. It's plastic loop on one side, and then there's like kind of a rope kind of thing.
Okay.
And then there's basically like a weight on the other side.
Sure.
And you put the loop around one ankle.
This sounds dangerous thus far.
Yeah. You put the loop, and it's colorful. It's like pink, blue, like 90s colors toys.
The danger.
Yeah. And you would put it around, and then you kind of like a hula hoop, you would like spin it around your leg, and you would skip over, kind of like jump roping, hula hooping kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds really dangerous.
It's really fun though.
I would hurt myself.
90s toys, I would say, are very like, they are very dangerous.
Yeah.
Like those Razor scooters, not okay.
Oh, I did have a Razor scooter and then had an electric one.
Yeah.
That's how I broke my wrist riding one, because I had recently seen Bolt, you know, the movie with the dog.
Yes, yeah, with Miley Cyrus.
Yes. And my puppy, this was when I was in 5th grade and we just got her. I tied her leash to like the front of my Razor scooter and was like, pull me.
Yeah.
And she like pivoted, and the wheel got stuck between the grass and the sidewalk, flipped over the handlebars.
Yeah.
Broke my wrist. But, you know, it was cool to have a cast.
But that's the cool thing about my comedy, and probably your literally queer comedy.
Yes.
Is that a lot of us had these like American, like quintessential like American like childhood.
Yes.
Where we were like in science class and like we listened to like pop culture music and like we had these toys and things like that. But like there was this element of like we have a shame or a secret or like something that we're not ready to tell the world or something that we don't know. And my song about like having crushes on girls is like I really think that until I was like 18,
right,
I truly thought I was not gay.
Yeah.
I thought something was up.
Yeah. You were like,
I was like, I'm hoping that, you know what it is like when you're in like science class and like sex ed type of classes, in these classes, these science teachers will say, okay, you're 11 years old, you're 12 years old, you're 13 years old. Weird things are going to happen to your body and you're going to get hundreds of erections.
Yeah. They
basically say like, you're always going to be getting erections for weird reasons and you're not going to know why, but you'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, oh, I see a hot guy and I have an erection.
Right.
That's puberty.
They told me
I'm gonna come out normal after this.
That there's just gonna be some flukes.
Yeah.
You know, here that don't mean anything.
Yeah. And they like I feel like they were like, you are gonna turn out normal. And to me, I was like, oh, normal, straight. Like, and I remember like I would see guys and be like attracted to them.
Yeah.
But because there's not, you know, there was a level of representation, but like not anything that I was seeing for myself that I was like, oh, this makes sense. I am just gay.
Right.
And so I feel like having that element to my childhood creates so much depth.
Yeah.
When I talk about my childhood and when I tell stories and sing songs.
Absolutely.
So tell me about you.
Yeah.
Like what were you like? Were you popular?
So, okay.
That's my favorite question.
So, this is such a unique question. I was like, I would say there was 2 tiers of popularity.
Yeah.
And kind of just to start, I am not really friends with like anybody I went to high school with anymore. They would all not enjoy. I mean, I don't want to assume they wouldn't enjoy my comedy now, but would be judgy.
Yeah.
But so there was kind of like 2 groups of like popular kids. And I was very academically driven. Like I was secretary of like our class council. I was National Honor Society vice president. And so I was popular. I had a friend group that we were all pretty academically driven. And then there was this other group of really popular kids.
And they were like cool.
They were cool.
Yeah.
There was a few, but the unique thing is there was a few smart kids. Like, I don't want to say that everybody in the tier 1 group was dumb.
Yeah.
But not as academically driven, but a few of the smart kids. I hate even saying it that way, but
like academically driven is a good way to say it.
We're in that group. So we'd be friends with them in class. I remember there was this one particular guy who I was pretty good friends with in class, but then once it was outside of a class setting, he'd like wouldn't give me the time of day kind of thing. And so I would say I was like medium popular, but even within my own friend group, I always felt like an outsider.
Okay. What was like your friend group like?
Yeah. So there was like, it was a pretty even mix of like guys and girls.
Okay.
Honestly, weren't great people. Like mean, judgmental. First of all,
But this is these are the smart kids.
These are the smart kids.
Yeah.
Like
that would be a good show if you ever write a show.
I know.
Like
that would
like
be
the
fun.
kids that are like historically like the smart kids were not always the cool kids also.
Right.
Like and so I think like I know you watch Bottoms like
which
is so good and you if you're watching this you have to go to Natalie's Instagram.
Yeah,
and see,
I have a joke about it.
Not even you have a full set. Like you're like fully talking about.
I'm obsessed.
And if you haven't seen Bottoms, this episode is
sponsored.
No, it's not, because we are not.
We're
not scabbing.
No.
We were just kidding.
We were just joking about that.
That was just a joke. That was
just a LOL moment. But if you're watching this, particularly, I have a big crush on Ruby Cruz.
Yeah.
Just Hazel.
Yeah.
Callahan.
But like, I feel like you could write something like that, where like it's these smart kids. Did you ever watch like The Politician with Ben Platt?
Wait, I have seen. I haven't.
Yeah, you've seen parts of it.
Yeah.
That show was so funny to me because, well, I will say the first season was really funny to me because it was a little bit more ironic, and then it got into truly like him running for office in New York.
Yeah.
But like in the first season, it was Ben Platt, and he had this life plan to be the president of the United States one day. And he had an entire plan of like, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. But it all started with being the student body president at his high school. And he had a cabinet. Like he had his like girlfriend was like his first lady. Like she was polished and like a good reputation and whatever. And then he had like strategists and analysts like in the high school.
Yeah.
And I think it would be funny if you ever wrote something about like this group of like smart kids who typically were like in the 80s or 90s, like the nerds or like the good kids.
Right.
But like now in what year was this, like 2015 or something?
Yeah, so I graduated high school 2017.
Yeah,
so, like,
so something like that.
2016.
That could be a really funny concept of like just like, I don't know, really dramatic, and like these like smart kids who are just trying to undercut each other or something.
No, I love that.
That would be cool.
That's a great idea. Definitely gonna
It's recorded.
Yeah. But anyways, I also, so where I grew up, Michigan, so going to college in Ann Arbor, very liberal city. But my hometown was super, for the most part, conservative.
Okay.
Also, my high school was not diverse at all.
Totally.
Literally no diversity.
There was some. Because you were queer.
Exactly.
But you couldn't talk about it.
I couldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even honestly realize until like end of college moving here, because, you know, I'm bi. So it's not like I did have relationships with men.
Right.
But something always felt missing.
Yeah.
But one of my best guy friends in high school, who I actually still keep in touch with him. He's one of the few that I keep in touch with.
Yeah.
Shout out. You'll know who you are. He was my best guy friend. Everyone was like, they're going to get married. Our parents were rooting for us.
Yeah.
One time we made out like in a closet, like my junior year of high school. And it was just weird. We
was
like,
it like at a party?
What was that? It was at like a hangout.
Yeah, okay.
So like basically a party.
Yeah.
But he is very openly gay now.
Yeah.
But he didn't come out until we were like in the middle, because we went to college together too. Yeah. And it was just crazy that, you know, there was just no representation.
Yeah.
I honestly I'm trying to think if I knew anybody in high school.
Yeah. Who
was like openly out, and there was really nobody.
Yeah.
And my dad is really he's getting better.
Yeah,
but
totally.
He's very conservative, but my parents were never like socially conservative, or is it that they don't care that much? Yeah.
Is it like, because that's kind of how I feel like my parents were, like at some point like in my childhood, like I don't think they were ever like, I, for religious reasons, hate gay people.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Actually, I was not raised religious at all.
Okay.
I was kind of an anomaly.
Yeah.
Because my mom went to Catholic school growing up.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Yeah.
And then my dad, his mom, so my Grammy, shout out to my Grammy. She's on my Instagram. Love her.
Yeah.
She is actually atheist because she, you know, had like bad experiences growing up. So my dad wasn't raised religious either. And my mom would actually say growing up, you know, you don't need, because I would feel self-conscious because everybody around me was, Yeah, they were having. We actually I had a decent amount of Jewish friends too, but it was either bar bat mitzvahs or like, I can't even think what happens when you're in 8th grade. The
in 8th grade for who?
For Christians.
Like a.
It's communion.
Like a confirmation or something.
Confirmation.
What
maybe
is that?
That's 2nd grade.
Yeah, I don't know.
I literally don't know. Whatever events.
Comment below.
I think it actually is 2nd. Whatever events were occurring, I was like, I don't have this to talk about.
Oh, so you were like jealous.
I was jealous.
What is it in 8th?
I actually
don't.
Grade? I think I might be making that up.
But there's something.
It's 2nd grade.
There's something.
That you have communion.
Yeah.
Because yes. Anyways, I felt, and I'd go to church sometimes with some of my friends.
Yeah,
after,
like
sleepovers.
Socially. Yeah, right.
And
you're like,
I
why
could
do
never
I not
take communion, like go up, and I'd have to sit there, and
yeah.
I'd be like, and that is one thing my parents were like, you don't need to be religious.
Yeah.
Just be a good person and love everyone and like don't spread hate.
Yeah.
So actually, that was very much so at my core.
Yeah.
But even with that, like I knew I could tell my mom, especially, we're very close, like anything. I could have come out to her, but it's like there wasn't a lot of representation. Like if I had a movie,
especially for bisexual, like
yes,
that's so like so recently people like don't believe in bisexuality and stuff. Yeah,
there's so much even within the community. Yes. There's a lot of biphobia.
Yeah,
and it's tough because I told myself like, oh, you don't really feel this way.
Yeah.
But I found myself like only wanting to watch like queer movies or film and like being like weirdly obsessed with them. And I was like, oh, that might be a sign.
Could be.
It could be a sign.
Yeah.
Recently I've been so done with dating men. Like all of my apps are
just set to women
only.
Yeah.
I
can imagine being a bisexual woman and being like, women, I think.
Yeah. And it's weird because sometimes I'll be like, am I even bi? Like, am I, just like a lesbian, like with really bad, like comp het, like, but it's like, no, I still do find a lot of men attractive. It's just like, I don't feel like I would be treated the way I want to be treated in a relationship.
Literally.
Yeah, it's both of my roommates, they're straight. And it's so interesting.
Women?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And I love them to death, but recently, and it's funny because I used to really, and this was also something too, when I would date men, I would take a breakup or rejection really difficult, and I was like, I need to find a way to make this work. And it was weird how like stressed I would get about like wanting it to work. Yeah. And I don't really think it ever had anything to do with them. It was probably also me fighting the fact that, like you could explore this other option, but you shouldn't. Yeah. But it's just insane, the things that they'll deal with.
How does dating show up in your life? Like, do you love dating? Do you hate dating? Is it easy for you to find dates? Like, tell me all of that, because I'm really curious, because I'm trying to date more, even though I don't like it, but I also like, I feel like parts of the reasons why I don't like it is because maybe there's an insecurity, or maybe like I think part of it is like it's out of my control. Like so much of my life, like I can just make something happen, right? Or I can just work harder and get success, or whatever. But with dating, like it's literally up to somebody else, to like go on a date with me. It's just like I can't control it, and I think that's part of like why it's come so difficult to me.
I completely agree.
Right?
I completely agree. And historically, I haven't really been the one to send a rejection text.
Oh, okay.
I'll break up with someone. I'm usually on the receiving end.
Okay.
And so it's like, I definitely have a fear of rejection.
Okay, fear of rejection.
And abandonment. Womp womp.
I have what I have is like a terrible fucking mindset.
Okay.
About dating.
Yeah.
Because I don't even have a fear of rejection. Sure. I live in my mind with a reality that rejection is the only way.
Yeah.
And it's not. Yeah. And part of it is insecurity of whatever. Right. Because I know logically that like it would be someone's greatest life honor to marry me. Yeah. Like I would love to be with me.
Right.
But like I feel like somehow I live in this realm of mentality where I just believe that it's not possible for me to find someone who like wants to date me or like wants to like be with me, I should say. And it's such a funny thing because this is literally, I've been talking in therapy about this because like I'm like, we got to get over this like mentality because it's like logically I'm like, yeah, like I'm a great guy. Yeah. Like I'm literally like my friends who know me and have known me for a really long time. Right. They'll be like, I'm really curious like and excited for like when you actually like meet someone and are in a relationship and like bring them back to California, like that kind of stuff. And it's just so funny because I just don't picture it.
I completely agree. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I completely agree. And I think I've only had one pretty serious relationship that like started in high school, went through college. Yeah. And he traumatized me so deeply. Yeah. And we redabbled in it. That's a whole. Yeah. Seeing each other like during COVID, actually. Yeah. Because he's from my hometown. Yes. And I am so deeply traumatized by that. Because he like ghosted me unexpectedly.
After how many years?
Okay, so, well, we dated for like 2 years initially. Yeah. And he randomly broke up with me after my freshman year of college. Okay.
But by ghosting you?
No, so that one was we talked it out, whatever. Okay. And then we like 2 years later, so this was like my junior year of college, he reached out and was like, I'm sorry because we were like, we'll be friends. And I think I had asked him to get coffee at one point and he never said anything. But this was like a year and a half later or something. And so I was like, I'll be his friend. Terrible, terrible idea. Yeah. So then we kind of started like talking again during quarantine. And then he posted a picture with his other ex-girlfriend that they were like back together and blocked me on everything. So I still haven't talked to it, but I make jokes about him and I don't feel bad. I do not feel bad. Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that really, it's funny because I think about that now and I don't feel any emotions. Like I'm like, whatever, content, you know?
Yeah. And also like, I don't know. It's like because I have not that similar of a relationship, but like I had a college situation. Yeah, it was a situation where I was really into somebody. Yeah, that person was ultimately queer, but just not like open or out or whatever. And to be honest, like the person just wasn't ready, right, to be. And he had his own journey. Like of course, it was looking back. It was something where. I came out, I met him 2 days later. Okay. And I was very excited about him specifically. Yeah. And I was like, let's go. Yeah. He was just not on that same timeline. I get that. But it was like a 3-year thing. Yeah, that tough. Was like going on that like left me with a lot of just rejection. Right. Like, because it would be one of those situations where it would be like, great night, amazing date, whatever. Yeah. Next morning was like, this was a mistake. Yeah. And I'm like, it's so funny and wild that I like accepted that and that I let that be not how I was treated, but like how I was treated. Right. And it's not saying he necessarily, because I just have empathy for like where of course he was at that time. Of course. But like, I think it's interesting that I in college. Yeah. Like when I was newly out and like hot. Yeah. And I am still hot, but like. Yeah, you are. But like I'm surprised at myself that I wouldn't be like, oh, this guy's gone. Next. But I literally was. I think I really am like a romantic. Yeah. And I had this vision of like being with him forever. Like I literally was like trying to marry this guy that I met like in college.
No, I am the exact same way, and it's weird because I haven't really had anything serious since I moved to the city 2 years ago.
Same.
I also feel like dating is just, I think because we're both very motivated right now with comedy and these other things and projects that totally take a lot, and we both still have full-time day jobs, so it's like in existing friendships that you can't neglect, and so dating is just not really at the top of my list. However, I would enjoy it. I think it would be great to be in a relationship with someone, but it's scary, and I have like I feel like I went on a couple of dates, like I think we ended up going on 3 dates with this girl recently, and I kind of feel like similar situation with her, like wasn't really ready to like date in general, and she was out, but I don't know how ready, you know?
Yeah.
Like I still kind of felt, I think I'm very secure with where I'm at now, you know? And it's just hard because it's also like, I don't want to say it's a waste of time to go on several dates with someone, but if it's like, if we're not even going to continue to see each other, because in like a casual way even, it's like a night, you know, a day that we could be at a mic, we could be doing a show, we could be writing,
We'd be recording a podcast.
Exactly. So it's just very hard to know where to put my time, and I'm a similar way. I'm a Pisces. I'm very in my head daydreaming, and I am such a romantic. When I meet someone, I daydream, and I'm like, I want to be with this person, and it's hard when, and especially in New York, people are very much so like, you know, it's not for the weak dating, because people are really moving through people. And go off for the people, like, you know, that's for. But I don't think that's for me.
Do you sing?
Okay, so
ever?
I don't sing really anymore.
Okay.
I was in choir.
Oh, okay.
When I was in high school, but I'm honestly not very good.
You're not very good. Part of dating, something that I've learned in therapy for myself is like, I really don't think that the process of like going on a dating app and then finding someone who likes my pictures and then going on a date with them is the right process for what I'm aiming to do. So part of my like dating initiative is not even dating, but just like making more queer friends, being more part of like queer spaces.
Yes.
And like literally over a year ago, I was like talking to my therapist, and I was like, what could I do? Because I know there's like gay kickball or like that kind of stuff, and I was like, I don't know that I want to do kickball necessarily, but like, are there other things? And I saw there was like a gay like karaoke league.
Ooh, well, I would do karaoke.
And like I was like that's kind of cool, but it was like kind of far in Brooklyn, like on like a Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Like it wasn't the best timing and location for me, but queer comedy has been a really good thing for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Although it's been funny because like there's been a couple of times where I meet a cute comedian, and they're like, oh, I don't date other comedians. And I'm like, well, why am I doing comedy?
Right. Aren't we all just supposed to fall in love?
This is supposed to help me find a husband.
Right.
You know,
I would love to date another comic.
Yeah, I would love that. Or at least like another like super just like creative, analytical like person who sees the world like in a funny way.
Yes.
But last night on TikTok, I stayed up kind of late last night, and I was on TikTok and I found this group, and if you ever want to go, we should go, because it's a singing group, but it's like a one-time, they call it a one-time choir.
Oh, love.
And you go and sign up. It's it's almost like a flash mob kind of thing, but it's not in public.
Okay.
And you go and you spend like 2.5 hours, and they teach you to sing a song.
Oh, I would
with
love
like
that.
100 people.
Oh, I would love that.
And then they like film it, and it's like these beautiful voices.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of the group. If I find it, I'll put it in the description of this.
Yeah.
But like, it's in the East Village.
Oh.
And they do it on like Monday nights.
That.
They go to they choose a song, and then you can get the song ahead of time, so you can like learn it and practice it. But like when you get there, there's a leader, and he's queer. It's like run by queer people, and it's a lot of queer people that go. And like they just did the Willy Wonka song, like Pure Imagination, and it was freaking beautiful.
And it was like
so 120 people in this like warehouse or like this gym underground, and the acoustics were like amazing. I'm gonna send it to you. But like it was. They have house parties also. And so they'll have a house party, and they'll like everybody's sitting somewhere in the house, like literally 50 people in the house. And you all just sing like a song.
I love that.
And I'm like, I
so down.
For sure will meet my husband at this group.
You for sure will.
Yeah.
You for sure will. You'll be planning the honeymoon, within minutes.
And I can literally have a free choir.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to, again, this is kind of the thing. You asked me, do I sing? I'm immediately like, no, I don't sing.
Yeah.
And I need to cut that out because I'm not terrible. Like, I was in, like, our advanced choir in high school. Again, we don't have any beef now, but my high school choir teacher, I was kind of a weaker leg.
Okay, yeah.
And, I was not the best at sight reading. I still think about sight reading, and it scares me. But I'll sing in the shower, and my roommates will be like, "Oh, and I'm not like, oh wow, she's got some good pipes, but I can sing.
Yes, I'm sure you can.
Yeah, it's not gonna change lives or anything like that. But
but
we can do the thing.
I love like the physical feeling of singing.
Oh, me too.
And like when I sing, like I did a little session last night because I have my show on November 3rd at the Triad
Which
Theater.
You have to go to or else.
To go. And it's a 30-minute set, and I'm
so
do
excited
songs.
To see it.
So I was like, let me just play all my songs like in a row. And sometimes when it's late, I'll like play the guitar, but I sing like really quietly, but I'm like playing the guitar. And I just had a great time like singing my songs, and like because 1 year ago I only really had 1 or 2 songs. Yeah. Now I've written tons of songs, but I like have like 6 or 7 that are like in my repertoire that I perform out in the world. Right. But like I sang my songs and I played the guitar, and I also just realized like music is just so calming and healing, and like the physical feeling of like strumming on my guitar and like singing from my body, like it's just so good. And like they did this group that I'm obsessed with that I want to go to, they do parties, and so they did a New Year's Eve party.
Oh, that sounds so fun.
They sang like that New Year's song, like what's it called? Auld Lang Syne or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce whatever it's called, but they sang that song, and they let people like improvise harmonies, and like but it's like hundreds of people, and so it just sounds beautiful. And they did it like as it became midnight, and I was like, I will be there.
That's so
on midnight, like on New Year's Eve, like singing, like crying probably. And I just like I feel like that is my answer to dating, like going to things like that,
I completely agree. And I thought that because when I started comedy, I heard a lot of other comics saying, do not date another comedian.
Yes, I have heard a lot of people saying that.
And so I was like, I guess that's the rule. It's inappropriate.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put my professional hat on.
Yeah.
But then I hear about all these people who are dating.
Yeah.
There are a lot of comics who are dating each other, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So it's not like illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can do that, but
yeah.
It's so weird because I don't want to, I don't know. I want to present myself as like in a professional manner to begin.
Yeah.
But it's, I do kind of think the more I think about it, I have to be with someone that I can just like let my freak fly, and I can just come home and be bizarre.
Yes.
And I'm that way with my two roommates.
Yeah.
Went to college with them.
Mm-hmm.
They come to my shows all the time. They know my weird ass side, and like I have to be with someone who I can be 110% myself.
Yes. Like yes.
And I cannot feel like I have to, suppress any part of me.
Yes. Okay, final question.
Yes.
This is a question I like asking, and usually I tell people I'm going to ask it beforehand.
Yeah.
So I'm putting you on the spot because I didn't tell you this, but I'm curious, and take as long as you need to say what you need to say. But how are you currently defining boldness in your life? Like, what does the word bold mean to you in your current daily life?
Yeah. So I would say for me, it's having the strength to put myself first.
Okay.
And do what I feel good doing. And taking risks, with what I'm posting on Instagram, leaning into that weird. And honestly, bringing out my inner child.
Yes.
And letting her be her. Mm-hmm. And, I was talking with my mom on the phone, and we were talking about a project I did when I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
We had to do in my English class, a how-to speech. It was supposed to be super simple, just to practice public speaking.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really want to make my classmates laugh.
Yeah.
And I didn't do stuff like this often, but I decided I was going to be Santa. And it was going to be a training workshop for elves on how to wrap a present, but I made it comedic. Yes. And I literally bought a full Santa. This was not in the description. Yeah. But then I kind of was like, that was weird. I'm not going to do stuff like that. So I think it's really letting when I'd come down and sit my parents on the couch and be like, I'm putting on a performance for you, bringing that aspect of myself out and truly really trying not to care what people think. And I think another aspect is not being afraid to dream big and have huge goals and aspirations that seem astronomical, but really believing that I can achieve them. I've been really into manifestation and the law of attraction and putting myself in that mindset and frequency, and just living my day that way no matter what happens to me.
It's so hard. It's actually so hard to imagine yourself at the highest level of this path that you're on and that we're on. And I think that in my therapy, I've even done a little bit of back and forth with do I just want this to be a hobby?
Sure.
Do I want to have whatever show? Do I want to tour? What do I want out of this? And also online, I do, because I feel like we both talk about doing online and in person, performing. And what do I want out of this podcast? This podcast could be huge. Right. It's a good concept. It's good guests, good everything.
Exactly.
I just feel it's hard to say, I want this to be in the top 10 podcasts on comedy in the United States. But if you can say that
and believe it
and you're saying manifesting, I believe manifesting is taking on the characteristics of that of the person who will achieve that, and taking on the actions of the person who will achieve that, or the group of people that will achieve that.
Yep.
It's actually changes the way you make little decisions every day.
Exactly. And it's difficult. It's very difficult, because I feel like a piece of it is, and being bold, is believing that you deserve all those good things.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of the inhibiting factor that stops a lot of people. And it's wait, am I talented enough? Do I deserve this? And, we're kind of speaking vaguely here. Yeah. Because success is different to various people, and there's different routes and everything. But I think in summary, really just what would little Natalie do? Yeah. When, she was trying to crack a joke and had all these big dreams and, really just believing in myself. Yeah. But it's difficult. It's difficult to
but you can do it.
And so can you.
We can do it.
We can do it.
And you can do it.
You can do it too.
And we really appreciate you watching today's episode or listening to today's episode. If you happen to have been listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, just know there is video version available. So you can watch on YouTube. You can also watch this podcast on Spotify. Did you know Spotify does like video?
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
With,
Call
her daddy.
We're good on the references.
Yes.
But I really appreciate you being here. I am bringing back the podcast. I'm probably going to be doing episodes about once a month. And I know that that's not very like traditional with a podcast, but after considering like what goes into the podcast and how much time an episode of a podcast takes to edit and promote and write the description and put on YouTube and Spotify and Apple and all of that stuff, I would rather do a quality episode like this one and put it out when I have the time. And so I will be doing episodes every now and then, and I really actually like that. But I'm not going to be like every week on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Like, I know that that's better, but like, I'm just a single person, you know?
Right. And honestly, even some of my favorite podcasts, I can't keep up with it.
Yes.
Weekly.
Yeah, and if you miss if you are missing the podcast, you can go to my Instagram.
Yes.
If you're missing my Instagram, you can go to my TikTok. If you are missing my TikTok, you can go to my live shows. One of them is on November 3rd at the Triad Theater. And I hope you have a great day, an even better week, and do not forget to live your life in bold.